Hello, my fashion family. Hello, you're all welcome to this live stream. Today we are going to be drafting and cutting an Ankara pinafore peplum jacket. So we are going to begin by drafting it on a pattern paper, and after that we are going to transfer it to the fabric. So the measurements we are using here is the shoulder measurement, the shoulder to waist, the full length of this peplum jacket, and we also need the waist round measurements because we are going to use it to calculate the radius of the peplum. So I'm going to begin at the top of my paper like so and input the shoulder measurement divided by 2. The shoulder here we are using 15, so when I divide it by 2 it gives me 7.5. Sorry, let me use a pen. So I have 7.5 at this point. So I'm going to come down and measure the same 7.5. The neck width is 3 inches and the neck depth for the back part is 1 inch. So we are going to link it with a smooth curve. So this is the back neckline. For the shoulder slant, I'm going down by 1 inch. So here I'll go down by 1 inch and I'll slant the shoulder. The half length of this top is 16 inches. We have 16 here. At that point, we are going to mark, draw a straight line. On the waistline, we are going to use the bust span or the nipple to nipple measurement to determine where our pinafore will stop. So for this person, the bust span is 8. When I divide it by 2, I'm going to have 4 inches. So I'll add 1 inch to that 4 to make it 5 inches. And this is where the pinafore will end. On the shoulder line, I'm going to come in also by 1 inch and I'll draw a straight line linking this point to this point. So this pinafore jacket has a band at the waist. It has a band at the waist that is tied in front. So we are going to take out the inches for the band from this upper part. So I'm going up by 2 inches because I'm going to put a 2 inches band. So I'm going up by 2 inches and I'll draw a straight line. So this is basically the back part. After cutting the back part, we are going to use this same pattern to cut the front part. So I'm going to cut it out. If you are joining us now, please double tap on your screen to like this live stream. Please do not hesitate to double tap and also share to your friends so they can also come and learn. So I'm going to go ahead and take out the band before I will proceed. So this is the center back. Sorry, this side here is the center back and it is supposed to be on fold. So we are cutting the center back on fold. But before cutting the center front, we are going to increase the neckline and we'll leave the front part open. So I'm going to bring in my fabric. So I'm using this Ankara fabric. This is the fabric we are going to use for this project. So I'll fold it into two and I'll begin by cutting the back part. Take note, we have not added any sewing allowance to this pattern yet. So we are going to be adding our sewing allowances on the fabric. So I'm going to pin it down and I'll use my chalk. I'm adding 1/2 inch sewing allowance on the shoulder line and on the sides. And at the waist, I'm going to add 1/2 inch of sewing allowance as well. And the next thing I'll do is to cut it out. So this is the back part. I'm going to remove the pin and keep this aside. So the next thing I'll do is to draft the front neckline. I'm going to draft the front neckline and I'm going to come down by 3.5 or 3 inches. We have 3 inches here. So this is the front neckline. You can feel free to deepen it more than this as you wish. So this front part is going to remain open, or if you don't want it too open, you can go ahead and deduct 1 inch from the center front. But I want this one closed. So I'm going to bring in my fabric again. And this time, I'm not going to allow this side unfold. So I'm placing it like this. I'll pin it down and make sure I leave sewing allowances all round, including the center front. So we are going to have 1/2 inch on the shoulder line, 1/2 inch at the sides, half inch at the waist, and at the center front another half inch of sewing allowance. So I'm going to quickly cut it out. So this is the front part. The next thing we are going to do now is to cut the peplum. We are going to cut the peplum that we are going to attach to this half length. And we are going to use the waist round measurement. The waist round measurement here is 29 inches. And to get a 360-degree flare, I'm going to divide this 29 by 6.28. That's a standard measurement for peplum, 360 degrees. So after dividing, my radius is 4.6, and the length of this top is 24 inches. So when you minus 16 from 24, we have 8 inches to fold. So for 360 degree, we are folding the fabric into 4, and it's going to give us a complete circle. So from the tip of this fold, we are measuring the radius, which is 4.6. So from this tip, I'm going to measure 4.6 all round. If you intend to add some gathers or pleats, you can times the waist by 2 or by 3, depending on how full you want it to be. So this is the waist, and the length of this peplum is 9 inches. I'm going to add 1 inch and make it 10 for sewing allowance. So I'm going to measure 10 inches all round. I hope the chalk is visible. Please, if you are joining us, don't hesitate to double tap on your screen to like this video. Just double tap on your screen and you are done. So this is our peplum. I'm going to cut it out. So this is it. When you open it up, you see that you have a full circle that is 360 degrees. So we are going to slash one side open, the side that will fall at the center front. Ngong Njang, I can see you. Hello. Ngong Njang is asking what we are cutting. We are cutting an Ankara pinafore peplum jacket. Josie's Cuisine is asking the same thing. What are we cutting? We are cutting an Ankara pinafore peplum jacket. So let's proceed. We are going to slash one side open. So this is our peplum. We are going to keep it aside and we'll move to cutting the band. Remember, we have a band at the waist. So we are going to cut our band. We deducted 2 inches for the band. So we are going to cut a band of 2 inches. So I just want to fold the Ankara for easy cutting. So I'm going to measure I'm going to cut the band and the lining. So I'm going to measure 2.5 inches. Sorry, 3 inches, because we are going to use ½ inch on each side for the sewing allowance. So I'm measuring 3 inches. Three inches all through. Now cut it out. So I would like this band to be double, so I'm going to cut a lining for it. Make sure your band is long enough because it has to go around the waist and you still tie it in front and have excess that will fall in front. So this is our band. You can see how long it is. It can go around the waist comfortably and you still tie it. So I'm going to keep this aside and I'll move to cutting the lining for this dress. You can decide to make this dress reversible. You can decide to make it reversible or non-reversible. If you want it reversible, then you can use another Ankara fabric for the lining, and it has a technique that you are going to sew with so that you can use both sides. So if you are interested in learning how to make it reversible, let me know in the comment section so that we can plan a video for you. So I'll begin by cutting the lining for the upper part. This is the front part. I'll go ahead and cut the lining for the back part as well. The back part is on fold, so we are also going to cut the lining on fold. So we have our linings for the front and back. So the next thing we'll do is to cut the lining for the peplum. So I'm also going to fold my fabric into 4. And I'll place the peplum on it and cut the lining. Make sure you arrange it well to avoid shortages or excesses. Okay. After arranging, I'm going to cut it out. So after cutting, this is what we have. We are also going to slash one side open, and we are going to use it to turn the lower part of the peplum. Thank you, Josie's Cuisine. You're all welcome. Please double tap on your screen to like this video. So we are done with the cutting part. Let me show you all the parts again. This is the peplum and the lining. We have here the back part and the lining. And here we have the front part and the lining. So now we are going to move over to the sewing machine, and we are going to begin stitching this Ankara peplum pinafore top. So I'm going to move over to the sewing machine. Please don't go away. Stay tuned and sew with me. So here we are at the sewing machine. Be patient while I set the camera. Okay. So we are going to move straight to the sewing part. So these are the parts. You can see. For a more structured peplum, I'll advise you to iron and interfacing on the fabric. You can iron and interfacing on the fabric to give it a more structured look. So let's begin with the front part. So I'm going to place my fabric on the good side like this. Then I'll place my lining on it like so. And I'm going to stitch this part, then that's the neckline. I'm going to close up this part and this part. So it is only the waist that will remain open and the shoulder. So I'm just using the ½ inch of sewing allowance I left at the side. After sewing, I'm going to notch the neckline. And I'll flip it over. So this is one side of the front part. So we'll do the same for the other side. I'm also going to notch the neckline before turning it over. And I'll use a screwdriver to push out the sharp areas. Now we are heading on to the back part. This is the back part. The back part is on fold. So we are going to place it on the good side, and we place the lining facing the good side of the fabric. And we are going to stitch at the neckline on this side and on the other side. Let me begin with the neckline. So after stitching, I'm going to notch the neckline of this back part as well. So after notching, I'll turn it to the good side. So this is it. So I'll move next to the peplum part. This is the 360-degree peplum. So I'm also going to slash one side of the lining open. So I'm going to place my fabric on the good side. I'll place the lining on top like this. I'm going to begin by closing this side and all the lower part. So at this point, you can decide to make it a bit rounded, or you can leave it straight. But I want mine to be a bit rounded like so. So I'm going to stitch it and trim the excess off. And on the other side, I'm going to do the same. So after that, you can notch, and then flip it over. If you want your peplum looking a bit wavy, you can decide to use a 720-degree peplum, or you can add crinoline. You can put crinoline inside the peplum. It will make it look more beautiful. So I've decided that I'm going to add crinoline inside this one. So I'm going to get my crinoline. Crinoline comes in different sizes and colors. So the one I have here is the 1-inch crinoline. We also have the 2 inches and 3 inches crinoline. So I'm going to stitch this on the sewing allowance of this peplum before I turn it. So I'm going to begin from here because I don't want it to come too close to the edge. So you can use paper tape to tape the edges so you don't feel uncomfortable wearing the dress. So I'm going to get my paper tape to seal the edges of the crinoline. So this is what we call a paper tape or a masking tape. So I'm going to seal the edges like this, and then I'll cut the excess out. So I'm going to begin placing it from here, but I'm not placing it inside. I'm placing it on the sewing allowance, moving outwards. So just watch me. This is how I place it. Not this way, but this way. So I'm sewing it on the sewing allowance. And make sure not to pull it while sewing, because it will not give you the desired effect. Oh, the thread in the bobbin is finished. I have to replace it. So continue stitching all around the peplum. Okay, as we are approaching the end of this peplum, we are going to measure and cut the crinoline. So I'm going to cut it here, and I'll also tape this edge because I don't want it disturbing inside. So I'll tape it like so. And I'll trim any excess. Then I'll go ahead to stitch it to the end. So we can now go ahead and turn our peplum, and this crinoline is going to be between the Ankara and the lining to give it that wavy effect. So we'll flip it and iron it properly. So this is it, ready to be ironed. So keep it aside and we'll move to the band. This is our band. And its own lining. So I'm going to use this one for the band and this one for the lining. So before stitching, you need to measure it around the waist and see that you can comfortably tie it. So this one, I'm going to reduce the length. It's looking very long. So I'm going to trim off some parts. I'm going to fold this band into 2 equal parts. As you can see me doing. This is the band. The next thing I'll do is to use my waist round measurement. The waist of this dress is 29 inches. So when you fold into 2, you have to measure half of the waist. So the waist round here is 14.5 inches. It falls at this point. But since I don't want the front to be too closed, I'm going to take out 1 inch from this measurement. So this is the center back of the band, and this is the center front of the band. So I'm going to notch it here, and on this side as well. And I'll open my band. I'll notch the center back as well, so that when placing it on the upper part, we'll know where the center back falls. This is the center back. So I'm going to open my band like so. I'll place the lining on it, and I'll begin sewing from here while leaving this part open. All this part will remain open. So I'll come in with my lining, and I'll place it good sides facing each other. So I'm going to stitch beginning by closing the edges. So I'm taking note of this notch. I'm going to stitch an end where the notch is. This is my notch here. So this is where I'll stitch an end. And this other side, I'll do the same thing. So I'll end exactly where the other side is ending. So I'm going to skip all this center part, and I'll begin stitching again from the other notch. I'll begin stitching from this other notch right to the end. So after I'm done, I'm going to turn it inside out. Let me trim the excess. So I'll use my scissors to turn it out. Excuse me. And the same thing for this other side. So after turning it, we have this center part open, and this is where we are going to fit our peplum and also our pinafore. So I'm going to fold the edges inside and get it well ironed. I'm going to fold it inside with 1/2 inch and iron it. So I'm going to take all these parts. As you can see, they are not yet ironed. I'm going to take them to my ironing table and give them a good press. Please don't go away. Continue watching and see the final result of this peplum top. Please, if you are watching this live, don't forget to double tap on your screen to like this live stream. It's going to help YouTube to recommend it to a wider audience. You can also share it to your friends and family so that they can learn. So I'm doing the ironing part of this project. Continue watching. I'll soon be done with ironing. These are the parts I've ironed already. Guys, let me know in the comment section if you are going to try this out. You can as well try the reversible pinafore jacket. I'm going to drop a link at the comment section. I have a video on this channel that explains in details the step-by-step tutorial on how to cut this pinafore jacket.